D, wait for it, delightful.
Check out the name tag. You're in my world now, Grandma.
What's up, nerds? So Superman and Lois is back, yo. I have to just say I missed this show. Personally, this episode I didn't think was like the best episode of the season or the show, but it wasn't bad. There was a lot of conversations, which is not always bad either. I think that writing on the show is still really good. Especially there's one scene at the end where I between Lois, Clark, and Lana that I was just like, that's good. That's good. And I really like these characters. I'll be honest with you. Superman, I always thought was like, as the DC characters, I do like Superman, but I always thought he was kind of like, like bland, just like, okay, he's like the strongest man on earth, yada, yada, yada. But I felt like, characters like Batman for sure are, definitely more, like richer characters and more dynamic and all that stuff. But yeah, I personally, yeah, but this show I think has brought in a certain new kind of love for the character. And I think all the actors are doing a good job. I think the action sequences, although this one was a little shorter, but I understand, I get it. I feel like this is setting up the final episodes of the season, this is episode 12. So we have 3 more episodes, which I think I saw today that there's going to be like a week-long hiatus between the penultimate episode and then the finale. And I was like, oh, come on, you guys, please, no more breaks. Daddy's tired of this. And I understand COVID and all that stuff. But after this season, besides the mid-season finale, can we try to just like not do it anymore? Like these long breaks. I would really appreciate it, especially with my content schedule. Jesus. Okay, so let's get into this breakdown. But before I get started, I just want to say that if you like what I do here and you enjoy independent content here on YouTube, please consider subscribing to my channel. YouTube is always changing up their algorithm, and small channels like mine, we always get shoved to the back line. So please ask that you like, share, and subscribe, and I thank you in advance. Now that that's out of the way, let's get started on this breakdown. So it starts off where the last episode left off, and he flies up in the air and he shows Lana that he's Superman. Comes down, she's like, you're Superman? And he's like, yeah, I'm Superman. And she talks about how like even when we were kids, and he's like, yeah, and everything. And she's like, even with the accident. And now I'll be honest with you, I was like, wait, what accident? And I'm like, man, did they mention it? I just don't remember. You can tell me in the comments if they mentioned it, but I don't remember them talking about this car accident. She whispers into her ear, she's like, I love you, God. And then she puts her hand on his shoulder. And I don't know if that was him that caused the accident. I'm not quite sure, but they hit a tree and she flies out, but she's A-okay. And she's like, you're the reason why all this stuff has gone wrong in Smallville and everything. He's like, yeah, it's me. And she's like, did you? And she's like, and that's why you left. And he's like, yeah, that's why I left. And she was like, did you ever love me? And he's like, Lana, yeah, of course I did. And she's like, well, why didn't you come back for me? And he's like, I tried to, but you were with Alex. No, you were with Chris. Ah, crap. I forgot his name again. Hold on. I'm gonna look it up while I'm talking to you. So she's processing this whole thing because she's just like, oh my God, I just was told that Clark Kent, my childhood love, is a superhero, and so she's feeling a little freaked out, which is totally understandable. And then Kyle, his name is Kyle. I was wrong on everything. Okay, anyways, so then she's like, I gotta go. I can't, this is a lot to process all in 2 minutes and everything. So then back at the farm, of course, they're like, we have to go back to school. And they're like, yeah, you got to go back to school, guys. And she's like, just be happy that the principal let you come back to Jonathan. And I can't remember if Jordan was all like, man, you got to tell her your secret. I don't get to tell my secret kind of thing. I'm like, well, that's how it goes, dude. Calm it down. So then they're sitting here talking, and he's all like, I can't remember what they say here. Shoot. I can't remember what they say here. Sorry. It was about Lana, obviously. Sorry, I have a little bit of a sore throat. Anyways, so I'm back at school. Sarah's coming down the hallway and he's like, hey, Natalie, say hi to Sarah, so maybe she'll stop and talk to us. And she's like, hi, Sarah. And she's like, hi. And she just keeps walking. So then these other football players are like, hey, Jonathan, you going to ruin baseball season 2? And he's all like, hey, listen, this kid over here was this kid right here. He's like, he was sniffing more stuff than I was. He's like, yeah, but I didn't get the football season canceled. And I'm like, everybody's getting down on Jonathan. Okay. But, everybody was doing it. So just because he's the one that got caught doesn't mean you get a free pass. But he's all like, I don't even know why you cares about football. There's so much more going on in the world. We could be dead soon. And I was like, all right, come on. You're going to give away too much info, dude. So then they're just remembering all this. She's remembering all these memories and everything. And she's like, like, Clark Kent, you haven't aged a day and everything. He's like, good genes and everything. And Kyle comes up and he's like, hey, Lana. And she's totally caught in a fog. And he's like, hey, how did things go with Sarah? And she's just like looking at him like, what are you talking about? He's like, with the car. And she's like, oh, she loved it and everything. And she's like, hey, and then Lois, I thought I got a better one than this, but text her and asked her if they could talk. Oopsies. And she's like, hey, would you mind picking up the girls from school today? He's like, who's that? And he's like, it's my assistant. She just wants to, get started on the day or some crap like that. So she lies to him, which was a little white lie, but whatever. I mean, she's carrying a lot on her shoulders. So then Superman goes to see Jonathan from Bizarro World, and he's like, hey, he's like, I want to help you, and I want to help your world and everything. And he's all like, listen, if I was your dad, if I was your mother, I would hold you in my arms. Remember that poem that lady did? Sorry, I was bad joke. Anyways, dad joke. So he's talking to him and he's like, listen, he's all like, I need you to help me destroy the pendant. And he's like, you can't destroy the pendant. My dad tried and he failed. And he's like, listen, he's like, if I was your dad, I would have tried to help you and I would have been there for you. I would have supported you. And he's like, yeah, that might help, but it's not going to. He's like, Allie is a god and she is going to destroy you, kind of thing. I'm not quite sure. So they're sitting here and they're trying to figure out how to destroy the pendant, and they can't. They can't do it. They don't have enough power to do it or whatnot. So then they decide they think about closing the portal. Like, we're just going to close the portal. And he's like, well, that would collapse the caves, or the caves would be useless or whatnot, which is kind of like the point. But then he's all like, he's like, well, we just need, he's like, I've got an idea of where we can get more power to destroy it. So then Lois goes and Lana goes and visit. Too many L's. I brought this up before and other people brought it up, but do you ever know where it's in DC? There's a lot of LL names like Lex Luthor, Lois Lane, Lana Lang, or Lois Lane, Lana Lang, Lucy Lang. Anyways, so then she's like, I was mad at you guys. Like, how could you keep a secret from me this whole time? And then I started thinking about how you came to Smallville and you were my friend. And she's like, she's like, when I have a problem, I call you. You're my person that I call. She's like, it was all fake. It was all fake. And she's like, that's not true. That's not true. I was your friend. And you know what gets me about this, about everybody on this show / in, I don't know if this is real world scenarios, but if I was dating my wife, for instance, and she told me one day she was a superhero, I'd be like, oh my God, you're a superhero? I wouldn't be like, you lied to me. I'd be like, I totally would get it. You don't tell people you're a superhero because that puts them in danger. Your bad guys know where they are. They go and get you and they say, hey, I got your, high school sweetheart. I'm going to kill her and everything. You better do what I say, soups and everything. So, I mean, they've, and she's so rational. I feel like these people are way more adults than I am, but they're so rational human beings. And I'm all like, can you guys not see the rationality in this? I mean, I am happy that she's like, I was mad at you. Totally fair emotion to have. But then she calmed down. She's like, but I'm not mad anymore. I was mad, but now I've calmed down and I've realized, and she even says, Clark is carrying the world on his shoulders as Superman. He's constantly trying to save everybody. And he even says it he says it over in that last scene. He says, because they want to destroy the portal, he's like, you don't know what that'll do for Bizarro World. And they're like, that's not our problem. And then John Henry is all like, you can't save everybody, Superman. He's like, yeah, but we have to try. And I love that about Superman, that he's like very much like, I may not be able to save everybody, but I have to, if I don't try, then I'll never know. And I'm like, you could save everybody if you just try, but if, yeah, you get what I'm saying. So then Natalie brings him back to her house. And it's so weird that these guys, they're all siblings, but not. Anyways, she's like, listen, she's like, so I was, working on something, but it turned into something else, I think she said. And she's like, but it's kind of to level the playing field. She opens up her closet, which I'm all like, how could you keep this a secret? And inside her closet, she's got her own suit. And then she's got like this little like safe room. And I'm all like, what's going on here? How did you get that in your room without your dad knowing? Like, come on. But it's fine. It's and in the comic books, she does become a super. I've never read these comic books that she becomes a superhero. Her name is oh gosh, what was it? It's like Firefly. It's something like that. I don't think it's Firefly, but it's not Firefly, but it's some kind of bug, because they call her Bug or whatever all the time. So they show her and they're like, oh my God, that's so sweet and everything. She's like, no, I made it for myself. Look, it's got boob plates. I wonder if it's going to keep those boob plates. She's like, I made it for myself, but she's like, I figured with the Bizarro Jonathan walking around, you could really use it. And he's like, oh, this is the best gift ever. And she's like, oh, calm down. It's not finished yet. It doesn't even work. I have to power it. And they're like, how do you power it? And she's like, well, that's where you guys come in. You're going to help me get some X kryptonite, because that's what powers the suit. So then Superman goes to visit Tal-Rho. And long story short, he's all like, listen, you help me destroy this pendant, I'll get you a new library, new more books. And he's like, a library card. And I was like, that's funny. But he's like, no, I want something else. And so then he's at home, and she's complaining to him about Lana and everything, and how she's still mad at them. I'm just realizing I need a haircut. But anyways, and he's like, listen, I understand, but I got something to show you. And she goes in there, and he's got peonies. Is that what they're called? The flowers? Anyways. And she's like, are you kidding me? And he's like, listen, I just want another chance. And she's like, you tried to destroy me and my family twice. You kidnapped my son, yada, 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 all this stuff. And he's like, yes, but I'm going to make things better. So they're all, and then these two come in, and they're obviously, man, they're like, are you kidding me? How we can't trust him. And he's like, listen, between the two of us, we have enough power to destroy the pendant. Sorry, I needed a sip of coffee. It's bad for my throat right now, but because if you can't tell, I'm going through puberty again. Hi. This time my voice is gonna drop. Yeah, no, God, what are they talking about here? Shoot, I should have wrote it down, but I didn't. Anyways, so they're going to destroy it. So then they're back in the caves, and they're looking for X kryptonite. And she's like, well, there's a huge portion of it towards the portal, but I don't want to go to the portal. So we're going to look. And so they've got this little tracker thing, and she's like, we hit the gold mine. Now, I just want to say right now, as soon as I saw this, I was like, oh, the cave is going to collapse. And it does. Because I was like, if you look at the way this is shaped, and they show it later, but it goes all the way up to the ceiling, but then there's this one column, and I'm all like, oh, come on, that's the only reason you make it that shape, so you can do that. You can collapse the cave, because that's the only column keeping it up. So then Sarah gets picked up by her dad, and she's like, where's mom? And he's like, she asked me to pick you guys up. And she's like, huh. So back in the cave, they're clunking away, but they don't have enough X kryptonite. So he decides he's going to use his X-ray vision, which is what I thought he was going to do from the get-go, but whatever. And it collapses the cave, and he uses his speed. He like grabs both of them and like zooms him out, and she's all like, man, as soon as when you tell Sarah that you have powers and she sees you do that, you are so getting laid, dude. Like so getting laid. He's like, yeah, I am, and everything. And then, but she's like, where's the X kryptonite? And they're like, oh crap, and everything. So suit gone, bye. So then they are prepared to destroy the pendant. And then Kyle comes in. He's talking to Sarah. She's writing her own songs, which I was like, oh, she's going to sing again. I was like, listen, don't get me wrong. She's got a beautiful voice. She's very pretty and everything. But if I want to see singing in a show, I'll go watch Glee. I'm not interested in that. But in her defense and the show's defense, it's only for like a hot second this episode. So I was like thankful for that. She has a very lovely voice. I do like people singing in shows, but like I don't know. Sometimes I'm all like, man, you guys got to slow it down. So he asks, he's like, hey, your mom's acting pretty weird. Is she seeing somebody? And she's like, I have no idea. And so then he calls his ex-girlfriend, and you think it's so he can get back with her, but it's not. And we'll find out what it is later. So Lois comes to visit her, and she's like, listen, she's like, I understand what you said earlier and everything. And she's like, but I want you to know that if you, and she's like, why didn't you tell me? And she's all like, that it wasn't my story to tell, which is so true. You can't blame Lois for keeping the secret, Lana, because that's not her story to tell. It's her husband's story. If he wants to tell you, then he'll tell you. And then she tells her about Jonathan and everything, or Jordan, sorry. So then they're in this volcano, they throw down the pendant and they start blasting away. But then Allie shows up, and I have to admit, Allie doesn't look like she does in the comic books, but she looks pretty cool here. She looks like a Kryptonian, and I think that for season 3, listen, this is work for season 1 with the Kryptonian thing. Season 2, you got the floaty looking like Kryptonian lady here. That's it. No more of this nonsense for season 3. Don't do it again. You can't keep going in the same direction, because people like myself, I don't care how good the writing is, I'll just be like, it's just going to be the same thing over and over again. Like, you can get away with it for 2 seasons, but after that, I'm sorry, you know, two times the story, it's done, it's played out, you got to go. Anyways, I have thoughts what they should do for next season, but I don't like to say my things out loud. So then Taro like flies towards her, and she starts to suck out his powers, and I was like, oh, there's the parasite part. And so she's sucking out his powers and everything. And he flies against the wall, and he said, Clock, I don't know what you did to me, or some crap like that. And she flies off because she's got the pendant. And he's like, so he flies after her, but she starts to steal his powers too. So John Henry, he gets the suit. He's running after him and everything. And he throws his hammer and hits her. And she's like, ah, and everything. And then he flies back to Taro, and she's like, I don't know. She drained so much of me, brother. She's like, I don't have very much left. And he's like, yeah, me neither. So John Henry's all like, you guys hurry up and everything. So they go and they start, she's fighting and everything, and she's winning and stuff. But they start blasting. And then they're like, ah, and then she's all like, no. And then she starts flying towards it. Sorry, I had to do that. And then boom, it's destroyed. And so she lands, and she's all like, she picks it up and everything. He's like, I can't remember what she says here. I can't remember what she says. I'm not quite sure. And then they're done. And Taro, he leaves. He breaks out. He's like, screw this. He's like, I did what I said I was gonna do, and now I'm Dobby is free and everything. So back at the Kemp farm, they're like, you broke Taro out, and then you just let him escape. And he's like, and how could you go along? But because he brought you flowers. And she's like, first off, they're peonies. So I don't even know what that is. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, they look like roses to me. I don't know, flowers. Anyways, I don't have a green thumb. And then they're sitting here, and I can't remember what they say besides that. Everybody's like, yeah, but we destroyed the pendant. Sarah cooks dinner, and she makes hot dogs and salad, which I'm like, oh my God, that's so something I would make, because I am not a cook. Whatever I make, it comes from a bag or a package, because the only thing I've ever made in the kitchen successfully is a mess. So she's like, thanks. She's like, I want to tell you something. Oh, she's like, Dad asked me. She's like, he said that you're acting weird, which he's right. Are you seeing somebody? And she's like, no, I'm not seeing anybody. And she's like, well, because if you're fully over, Dad, you need to let him know. She's like, no, baby, I'm not seeing anybody. And she's like, well, what is it? Because you're acting weird. She's like, come sit down, I want to tell you. She's like, listen. And so when they do that, her sister comes in. I don't remember her sister's name. Don't care. She's a bad actress. Kid actors, this one's just not good. Sorry, kid. She's like, oh, they go up so fast. And that's what makes Lana think. And she's like, listen, there's an internship at my office if you want to, expand your portfolio. She's like, okay. She's like, go hang out with your sisters. And then Clark and Lois show up at the house and everything. These guys are just sitting there talking about their excursion in the cave. And he's all like, hey, you want to stay for dinner? And they're like, yeah, and everything. He's like, all right, well, you can help make it. She's like, I saw that coming and everything. So then he's like, text your parents, let them know you're staying for dinner. So he goes to text his parents, but he sees the Sarah texts from him. And it's stuff like, you know, talk to me when you're ready to tell me what's going on with you. And then she said, guess you ran away like always. Oh, Sarah, don't be a dick. He's having a human experience and you're not being cool about it. So then her dad texts her and he's like, hey, come outside. Let's go for a joyride kind of thing. Or go for a ride or hang out for a couple hours. She's like, hey, I'm going to go hang out with dad at school with you. And she's like, yeah, I'll be home by 10. So then she's sitting here and she's like, and she says, again, I was mad at you before, but I'm not mad anymore. And she's like, we do need to distance each other. I every time we're around, our families are around each other, I feel like I'm just perpetuating a big lie and I'm not going to do it. She's like, so I think we need to just make a clean break. And I really liked this scene only because it showed the maturity and like the adultness of Lana. And also the acting in this was very good. I felt like, you know, even though they're adults and it's like we're breaking up kind of thing. You saw the hurt in both Clark and Lois's face with the fact that their friend was just saying, listen, we can't hang out anymore, and everything. And what else did she say? Gosh, I'm sorry, you guys. I don't remember what else. Yeah. So then it's open mic night at the bar and he brings Sarah and he's all like, I want you to go see. I love how this guy came up just to maneuver the stool. I'm so stupid. And he's like, all right. He's like, yeah, show her to play your song. She's like, I'm Sarah Mendez. These are my songs. And she's like, you know, twinkle, twinkle, little star. And he's all smiling, which I have to tell you right now, if my daughter got up on stage, I'd probably be bawling. I'd be like, oh, she's so bad and everything. I was like, that girl and everything. And again, she has a lovely singing voice. I was praying to the Jesus this wasn't the last scene because I was like, oh, this is gonna be the last scene where she's just singing, and that would have been a bummer. But no, we hop over to Bizarro World, and she's like, the pendant is destroyed. Well, we can't do anything. And she's like, she's like, we can do so. She's like, that's not all we have. So she goes into Tal Rowe's cell, and he's like, where's Lana? I want to talk to Lana. And she's like, that's never gonna happen again. He's like, I saw you when you were merging and you were scared. You're not a savior of this planet. My brother was right. I should have listened to him. And she's like, okay, boom. And then she's like, you're not a savior of this world. And she's like, and then she starts stealing his powers. And when she's doing it, he's getting all Zorgified and everything. And she's done second house powers. And this is what victims look like in the comic book when Parasite drains them of their life force. And she's like, not yet, and everything. And that's where the episode ends. I thought it was, like I said before, it wasn't the best episode, but it wasn't a bad episode. Like I did enjoy it. And I did, like I said, the acting was very good. I think that everybody does a good job. And I think that I'm really thankful that they're doing a season 3 because I think that shows like this need to stick around. And I think it needs to be, because they dropped that Gotham Knights trailer, which I'm going to do a trailer reaction hopefully after this. But, you know, when it just shows to show that when you take a show and you take the characters seriously and you do the writing seriously and you put time, effort, and you get talented people on it, you know, you can make a solid show. And I think that this show is doing it right. You know, even though, like I said, this wasn't the world's best episode, I can tell you right now, this episode beat all 3 seasons of Batwoman put together, like, because that show just is god awful. And I think that the CW, when, you know, they were doing it, they just weren't doing it right. All right, you guys. Well, that is my breakdown and review of this episode. Tell me, what did you guys think about this episode? How do you feel about Allie's? Like, I think this is her final look. Maybe we'll see. Do you think she's going to survive this season? I think she'll survive, but get like put in a cell like Tal Rowe did at the end. Never get rid of a good bad guy. Do you think she'll have her final look from the comic books where she's all pink and looking more like Parasite, or do you think she'll stay like this and everything? Yeah, tell me what you guys thought. Go ahead and leave all your comments in that section down below. If you like this video, go and hit that like button. You know, I won't mind. If you're new to my channel, please hit that subscribe button. I'd greatly appreciate it. I will see you guys on my next breakdown and review of Superman and Lois. You guys have a good week. Bye.